Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we're back today with more Expanse. It's been a long day, so hopefully I don't forget everything I need to say. So we're doing Season 2, Episode 8. It is called Pyre, and this is a pretty good episode, just as usual. So full spoilers if you've not seen the episode. And alright. So a big part of this episode is introducing this character named Prax, who was a botanist on the Galamide station where the big fight took place, in orbit and on the ground with Bobby. And this guy's, the mirrors, okay, so that's what those were. One of the mirrors that broke came down and hit him. And he wakes up like on a refugee ship. Well, what we don't know is he doesn't know that he's been in a coma, and he's looking for his little girl who he believes is dead. His friend Doris tells him that. And this is, it's just another unique little take on these things and what goes on with all these different groups. Now on Tycho Station, everybody's dealing with Dawes' escape. Invincible kid gets taken away, and I know he's just kind of like one of Dawes' pawns, but it just kind of pisses me off that, Miller saves his life and then he just kind of does this. But I mean, he's a kid and he believes in what he's doing and shit, and so I guess I'm not supposed to be mad, but I kind of pissed at him at the same time. And so I said last episode that I thought the drummer must have been the one that let Dawes out, and I'm really happy to say that that's not true. And I was really wrong. I mean, it seemed like maybe that's where they were headed with it, but in this episode she proves that she's with Fred Johnson. And this episode has some really makes me feel conflicted about a lot of the people and the different thoughts, processes about things. Just like I said about the Invincible kid. I at first didn't like him when he was on series. Then, you sympathize with him and he's taken out of the airlock by his uncle and you're like, oh shit. And then he gets to hang out with Miller and they kind of develop a little bond and Miller saves his life and you feel better about him, and then he does that thing and I'm just like, ugh. And with Drummer, I was the same way, where I'm like, she was just kind of there, but then I thought it was real easy to think that she, must have been the one that let Dawes go, and now that I know she didn't, and then what happens later, again, makes me flip, where now I'm like, I love this chick. She's awesome. But also with what happens with Fred in this episode, and with the rest of the crew, everybody having these crazy, emotional journeys in this episode. Now, for that Prax guy, him and this girl Doris, they're supposed to, they're being taken supposedly to another ship that's taking them to Tycho Station, and him and her are going to get off together, but he's not allowed to go because they say interplanet people only. And as soon as it just seems too happy, like a sweet, really sweet moment, and they're like in 0G and they're floating and they got the hand up against and they're like, and everything. I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I guess maybe it's because I've seen too many shows like Game of Thrones that like to, punch you in the face when things get too good, because that really was a sweet moment. I was like, how is this going to go bad? And so when they opened up the airlock, I went, oh, there you go. There's the other shoe hitting the floor. And that's just, when they got thrown out and dude's just like, what the fuck are you, what did you just do? You're lucky you're a belter, like, ooh. And when they showed her out in space, like taking her last breaths, I was just like, God damn, that's fucked up. Now, with what they have on Tycho Station when Dawes calls them and gives them his little message about how him and Fred Johnson, where they're brothers. They found him, he was broken, and he's, a belter in here, but he's an earther another and I get the whole belter thing. I do. I really do. They've been getting the, short end of the stick forever. And they're like, I mean, I myself, I'm a working class guy. We're the ones who get, the short end of the stick through the centuries. It has never changed. It has not changed in the 23rd century. I don't see it changing anytime in our history. It just is the way it goes. And so I get their frustration, their really big frustration. We don't have it as bad as they do. We don't. We have it bad. It's not great, but we don't have it as bad as them. But while I understand that they're sick and tired of living under this, what they consider this boot heel, they, in between Mars and Earth, they're always the ones that are the worst things happen to. And I feel like, even though I agree that something needs to change, I also the pessimist inside me, or the realist, says that no matter what you do, you're not going to win. All you can do is fuck things up for people for a while. And then the hammer comes down and you end up getting squashed. And then things get back to normal after a while. And that's a sad thing. That's a sad comment on affairs. But again, I'm just a realist. And so when these people, they're like, Dawes is a zealot to me. And he likes to say a lot of things to get his people to be on his side, that he's got their best interests at heart. But I feel like in the end, he's a zealot, and he's only really out for kind of himself in a way. He likes to, I feel like there is like a genuine, like he cares about the belt, but I feel like he still has his own ends to it. And these leaders like this always do have their own ends. Where this whole thing with the proto-molecule and these people still, they don't know what he's done. They don't know about him and Julie Mao. And they don't know that again, I've said this in other episodes or reviews, that he's the one who left her there. So him going out to search for this thing, making it sound like this is the only, talking about the danger that this thing occurs. He's not interested in it because he wants to get rid of it because it's dangerous. He wants it himself, just like Fred wants it for his own reasons. Earth and Mars and everybody else wants it for all their own reasons. So he's nothing special. And so he gets these people riled up to the point where, and then he just leaves and goes off to do his thing and leaves a situation behind at Tycho Station without really any care about what happens there. Not in my opinion. I really don't think he cares. I think that if a bunch of bad shit happens and it's, belters that caused it and they can fuck shit up for people, I think that's what he likes. I don't think Dawes is stupid enough to think that he can really make real change. I think he's just, he's about chaos to me. And wanting to get his own control over this proto-molecule. He wants to be just as much of an opportunist, long day, as anybody else. And so, in this, when the Belters decide to, get together and listen to his little speech, I love how easily people just hear this guy and they just like, yeah, do it. And they decide to mutiny. Before I get into that though, we've got Amos, who's, still kind of in the dumps, I guess, over, what happened last episode with the girl, the mother and the kid, and it gets him thinking about his own past. You got Alex wanting him to help with the refugees. Alex and Amos, they're an interesting duo. The whole thing where Nagata, she realizes that they're looking for what was, she just finds out that the proto-molecule is out there, that there's more of it. And so she's trying to cover her tracks, or at least trying to see if anybody's discovered that she didn't send that torpedo. So they're still lying. Everybody's kind of holding things from themselves. Like Holden didn't tell her about more of the protomolecules. She didn't tell him about not firing the rocket and sending the other stuff away. You know, Fred Johnson's still doing his own thing in a way. Dawes is doing his own thing. Everybody's got their own plots. And I feel like Holden's the only one who's just kind of like, we gotta get rid of this shit. He has no agenda to me. I think Holden and Amos are probably the only two that I can think of that don't have an agenda. Amos just kind of wants to, I don't know. He's such a, I don't want to try to pigeonhole him as just kind of an uncomplicated person. Who's just kind of along for the ride, who just kind of a follower instead of a leader, looking for a cause. And maybe that is what he is, I don't know. He seems to be a little more complex than that. Anyway, the whole fight between him and Alex, well, not fight, but confrontation between him and them, like, it's so, like, I love how he just kind of, like, can lose himself. And then say so matter-of-factly, like, I don't want to fight you, and you think it's going to be like an apology, and he's like, because then we wouldn't have a pilot. He gets the best, he delivers lines. The actor has these lines, and it's the way he delivers them that is so great. I can't remember what the actor's name is off the top of my head, but I apologize to all of you Expansonites, or whatever you call yourselves. I don't know what we're supposed to call the people that like the Expanse. Those of us that do. The ones that have been watching way longer than I have. But then when the people decide to first they find out that Prax is on Tycho Station. And they're looking into this doctor named Strickland, who was on Ganymede as a pediatrician when he's really like this super smart scientist. And so when they find Prax, that's how his name is, right? They find out, the connection is his daughter, and that he got her out like an hour before the whole fight went down. So he knew it was coming, and he got her out, and that means the kid must be important. And if the kid's important, it might have to do with the protomolecule. I don't know. Sounds pretty close to the mark there or something. So now they're going to go with Prax to Ganymede. But before we get to that, then yes, we have the mutiny. And these dudes are just, again, they're pissed. They're super fucking, irritated. They want the missiles. And again, it's like, to me, it's just small-minded. They're not thinking everything through. They're just like, we'll just blow it up. They can't get them all. Like, they're just, and then they say they don't care. It's more bodies on the Pyre. If they come and blow them up. It's just, to me, just, they don't think things through. They're just all, like when they were shooting up the place with, when they got to the side, the place where Miller, the doors and corners part, okay? They were just shooting everything that moved. They had to be screamed at to stop. So I'm not going to come right out and say like that they're dum-dums, but they don't think things through. They think simple to me. And that's why I feel like a lot of these people are just easily led by people who tell them what they want to hear. I know it's more complicated than that. So all of you that love this show, and I just try to be honest in how I see it. To me, these people are just as dangerous as anybody else because they don't think things through. Because here they are looking for the codes for nuclear missiles, and they're just going to start firing them at Earth. Like, not smart. And so then they start executing people. And in this situation, this is where we're in this episode where we get to know more about Drummer, and like, she's really with Fred Johnson, and she's not just some dummy that like is easily led. And when she's talking to Nagata about Fred Johnson and Dawes, she understands these two guys, and she chooses to be with Fred because she understands, like, Fred it's a thing. So when she gets shot in the gut, I was pissed because it's just, of course, right when I get on her side, right when I understand her more, right when I go, all right. Because I'm a big Fred Johnson fan. I really do like the dude. I think that he's, no matter what, he's kind of like the one that, I don't know who I should really compare him to, but I don't want to really compare him to anything, but if there's anybody out there I actually trust the most in this whole thing, I think it's Fred Johnson. I don't always like how he goes about things, but I think in the end he really does have like the best motivations, because of just this whole redemption arc that he's still on. So they start executing people. They shoot her in the gut, and I'm just like, fuck these guys, these I was going to say dum-dums. So finally Holden answers his phone, which I did kind of find funny that, they were having this thing and he's looking at it and it's Alex, and he just seems to be irritated with Alex all the time. And like when people are trying to get a hold of him, he's always like, throughout this episode too, like when he's trying to kiss Nagata, you're like, what? Like, I don't know. But anyway, they finally know what's going on, and so they get Amos outside to cut the air on these guys, which, I mean, this pretty much goes off without a hitch. They knock them out, they don't get the codes, and, everybody kind of falls down, and then Drummer, who appears to, like, in pretty bad shape, when they get her out, and they're just like, we need to get you to medbay, she just puts the thing up to her side, fucking grabs the gun, and just takes the two dudes out like that. It's just badass, and then she just keeps on walking. Love it. She's awesome. I'm digging her now. Digging her a lot more than I did before, and I really do feel bad that I blamed her for letting Dawes go. But this show can surprise you still. And I feel like that's it. I mean, they're headed to Galamai to find Strickland. Except now Fred Johnson is telling them that if they don't bring the proto-molecule back, they're not welcome at Tycho Station. So that's kind of a bummer, but he does let him go, and it seems like Holden and him now are on different paths or whatever, but I'm sure that we haven't seen the last of any of this of Fred Johnson, of course, and I can't wait to see more of what he's going to do at Tycho Station, if he's still in charge, like Holden says. But anyway, that's about it. If I'm forgetting anything, I apologize. It has been a really goddamn long day. I even toyed with the idea of not even making a video today because I didn't know if I'd be able to be making any sense, but I think it did okay. I think I did all right. I did order my first Expanse t-shirt today, so hopefully I'll be able to sport that in a review starting it'll probably be here sometime next week. So by that time, it should probably be in season 3. Anyway, if you liked this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. And if you're new here, welcome. Thanks for choosing to watch this. I really appreciate it. I just did my video for 300 subscribers. Thanking everyone. If you are new here, check out all my other stuff, man. I have got a ton of content to take a look at, from movie reviews to comics to games to everything. Just take a look. I might have something you like. So anyways, this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews saying we will be back with another episode of The Expanse very soon. We will be doing episode 9. So have a good night, and we will see you later.